This is a dog kennel. It's furniture for your dog. I make these more than anything else, and today I'm going to show you the process behind building one of these guys. This one was a triple, and like any unit that I build, it starts with solid lumber. We built this one out of red oak because I like red oak. I think it's beautiful. So we start with ripping down our lumber, and it's essentially building 3 face frames and then putting them together and then attaching it back. It's basically a cabinet. And of course, it's ridiculous I charge what I charge for these things because, you know, it's just sticking some wood together. I was told that the other day. I will tell you what I charged for this at the end though. So guess in the comments and then I'll tell you at the end. You can see here I'm using a little spacer stick, and that stick helps me make sure that I get everything the exact same size. Proportions and balance and everything matching the way it's supposed to really matters in a piece like this. So by just using that stick that was really just a scrap wood from the scrap bin that I cut to the size I needed, I think that was 16 inches for the door, that just makes it where that's your hard physical stop. That way you're not relying on just, oh, it's a pencil line, but my clamp pulled it one way or the other. No, you have that hard stop holding it there. Same thing with the drawers. It's just all pocket hole joinery construction. You saw my Craig Foreman earlier. And here I'm just laying out where my drawers go. Get all of that done, make sure everything's square. Square cuts lead to square assembly, so making sure the miter saw is dialed in really good makes a difference. On this we decided to do a panel on the front instead of using our normal bars. And so what I did is after I assembled my face frame, I put a rabbiting bit on my Makita router and just rabbited out a place to put that plywood panel that's going to go in there. And that was just glued and nailed in place. I'm using my Makita router. I love my Makita router. I use it for absolutely everything. It's one of my most used tools, followed by sanders. I feel like most of what I do is sanding. So I've got Festool and Mirka sanders, which were 2 of the best on the market. More routing action going on and just getting ready for those panels, and then more sanding. Lots and lots and lots of sanding. I always use pencil lines on while I'm sanding because the pencil lines make it where I can see where I've sanded and where I've not. And then I always encourage everyone to mark your pieces, mark the cuts that you're going to have to make. And for this rabbit, it's really important that I make a right and a left. So marking it clearly, so that way whenever I put it into the saw, I can just visually see like, oh, this is how this piece is supposed to go through the saw. That matters. keeps me from having to remake a piece, because guess how I learned to do that? By having to remake a piece. I am a big proponent of track saws. If you are a woodworker, it is definitely worth the investment to get yourself a good track saw. The uses are, I'm not going to say endless, that's too much overstatement, but they're just incredibly useful to have for ripping down plywood. You can use the tracks for router guides, etc., squaring things up, edge joining, and here I'm just getting the bottom done, and I'm using 1/2-inch plywood from the bottom. I used 3/4 for a long time, but I really like the weight savings that you get with 1/2-inch. I don't feel like I'm losing any strength at all there, and it saves about 10-15 pounds, and these guys get really heavy. I mean, they take 2 people to lift, and it's still heavy with 2 guys. You'll see me moving it around my shop later. Little squares you see me have there, I actually bought from Fast Cap. They're just little CNC'd wood squares that you can use for assembly. They're really helpful, but honestly, you can make your own very easily. All you have to do is get a 90-degree corner, and it's not absolutely critical. If it was 89.9 degrees instead of 90, they would still work for helping you get a square assembly, because there's enough flex in your wood. But here you go. This is how we assemble it. Is we get our face frames made, we glue and nail it together, and once that glue sets up, you have a really, really strong piece of furniture. And this is the method that we have been using for a long time, and we ship these guys all over the country, and I've even had delivery drivers actually call me up and compliment me, saying that they were woodworkers themselves and they've delivered quite a few dog kennels, because there's a lot of guys out there that make them, and they were really impressed with the level of work we produce. So yeah, I'm tooting my own horn a little bit there, but I'm proud of the work I do, and it's nice to be recognized, especially by other woodworkers. So now I am making the panels. We're doing kind of a faux panel on the front here. So I'm using some 1/2-inch plywood to create a panel that's going to fit in a lot of those gaps that you're seeing. I'm using my track saw with the TSO guide rail square on it. Great accessory for your track saw, and then I'm just fine tuning that fit so they sit into place like they should. And then I'm just kind of cutting, measuring until I get all of those made. One day I'd dream of having a big, huge shop with one of those like $30,000-$40,000 sliding table saws. It'd be awesome. But the track saw and the good MFT top really allow you to do a lot in a small space. This is a 3x6 workbench. I use the UJK Parf guide systems that TSO carries to lay out a perfect grid, and you're going to see how that perfect grid really comes to play right now. Again, I'm using my Makita plunge router with the guide rail track on it, and I'm basically doing the beading with a beading bit on there, and I'm able to keep it all perfectly square, move it around. The track is held in place perfectly square, and it allows me to make those lines perfectly spaced, perfectly parallel to each other, all using the dog holes and some bench dogs. Really is a great system that is worth the investment. If you have a CNC guy though, have the CNC guy do it. Next time I need a top, I'm gonna pay for a CNC guy to do it. Not because it's more accurate, but because it's a lot less work. Now I'm moving on to my drawers. I'm using again the track saw to edge joint, get a nice perfect glue line quality rip for my drawer fronts, which I'm not actually gluing together. I'm just cutting the size. But still, really nice, beautifully clean edge that you can get with the track saw. And you know, my table saw's got a really nice blade on it too, so it works out. More sanding, so much sanding. I wish I could get like a $20,000-$30,000 big old drum sander, but I have no idea where I'd put it, and I don't have 3-phase power in my garage shop. But one day, right? That's the goal of having a really, really big shop. And Now we're moving on to our doors. Because I used that little spacer jig earlier, all my doors are exactly the same size, so I can cut all my pieces at once, lay out where my holes are going to go for my rebar. On the tops, I drilled a hole about 1.25 inches deep. On the bottom, I go about 1/2 to 3/4 inches deep. The reason I do that is so I can insert the bars after assembly, and you'll see that in a minute. This is just a drill press that a friend gave me, old neighbor actually. He gave it to me, let me keep it. We traded a few tools, and then this is all I use this drill press for, so I just made a table specifically for dog kennels, and that's a Forstner bit in there. Whenever I do doors, I go ahead and use dominoes. I'm a big fan of pocket hole joinery. Pocket hole joinery is great, but dominoes give you just a little bit extra strength here that make the door that's going to be open and closed a little bit stronger. And there's the looks factor of you're not seeing any pocket hole mortises cut. And you know, the only way you see them on the assembled dog kennel or assembled cabinet or assembled piece of furniture is when you stick your head in there and look, and okay, that's fine. But this is kind of something you see more, so I want it to look a little bit better. And they have held up to my kids, so that's impressive, right? So get assembled, get the glue wiped out, and then clamp it up in my panel clamp. Something I take a lot of pride in are having drawers that are just a pleasure to use. If you look at a lot of furniture from, you know, the import furniture stores that sell stuff, you'll just play with those drawers. Go over there, play with the drawers, and you'll just see that, you know, they're cheap plywood. They're not even finished a lot of times. They're very thin. They have little pressed board bottoms, and then sometimes the drawer slides aren't even working. Well, this is something like I want to be used for a really long time. Yes, it's for a dog, but I just want it to be an heirloom quality piece that is going to be handed down to people. And drawers are the place that you interact with.
That's
right. Are you ready? Alright, so I'm going to put the screw on. And I'm going to get it lined up. Alright, pull the trigger. Awesome, good job. Let's do another one. Right there. Pull the trigger. There you go, pull it again. Perfect. When it beeps, it's done.
I think that was really far.
Yep.
I didn't even stop.
Do this middle one. And you saw my little helper there, and now you see my other little helper here. They helped me in the shop. And so back to talking about the drawers is I switched to using all wood drawer runners, drawer slides. It's a solid wood drawer, and I did that whenever, frankly, I couldn't find drawer slides anymore. You know, I started with, you know, side mounts, moved to the undermount drawer slides, which are very nice. But then they got back ordered for like months and months and months. So I was like, okay, I've got to come up with another solution. I'm not going to downgrade on my customers. I'm going to come up with something nice. 25 and almost a quarter. So I'm a little bit on the tight thing. So I'm going to take just a kiss off of this 40. We're at 25 and 3 and a little less than a 1/2/16. And that will be perfect for our drawer opening for a nice, tight, yet easy to open drawer. So I decided I was going to try wood drawer slides, see how it went. I actually made a video of like all the really nitty-gritty details. And I tried plywood at first, but getting it a great fit is hard because you can't actually take anything off of plywood because of the veneers. So I switched to solid wood drawers, and then I started using domino mainly because I didn't want a mechanical fastener, because I kind of build the drawer tight, and now I'm using a hand plane to fine tune that fit once we get it in there. And that just makes it just a nice drawer to use. It doesn't sag, they open and close smoothly, they don't bind up, and they're going to last forever. I'm using beech hardwood and beech hardwood runners. It's a great hardwood that's inexpensive, so you're still getting a good value there. And beech is what I use for most of my most of my paint grade and some stain grade. It kind of has a more contemporary look than like oak, and I don't like using pine anymore just because it's too soft. And if you want to learn how to build drawers for side mount, under mount, and wood drawer slides, I have an entire playlist devoted to drawer making tutorials. And I made those because whenever I was learning to make drawers and searching YouTube videos, I couldn't really find what I was looking for. So once I figured it out, I made the videos. So hopefully it'll help you out. And now we're moving on to finishing. For this project, I tried Rubio Monocoat. I've got some opinions about Rubio Monocoat that I'm going to share in another video, so you'll have to subscribe to kind of see that. I tried using Rubio Monocoat. It looks great, and getting all these nooks and crannies was just, frankly, it was miserable trying to do this. I ended up sanding it down and going back to conventional wood stain. And this is after I sanded the entire thing down and restained it. And now I'm getting the panels done and gluing and nailing those in place. And I pre-finished those just because it's hard to get stain into those nooks and crannies. But so by pre-finishing your panels, and even if I did a frame and panel door where the panel was permanently inserted, I would stain that panel before I inserted it into the door or something like that. Sometimes you can't do that, but when you can, it works. So nailing those in place with glue, and a little 23 gauge pin nailer is a great addition because it will hold things in place. It doesn't even need to be filled. And this is after I clear coated it and moving it around the shop. And you can kind of see how I move things around. Everything's on wheels, and I just kind of move from one height workbench to the other. And now I'm installing my drawer frames. It's really important that you get these guys square for any drawer you do. And then we're just attaching those into place. And again, I'm using pocket screws to get those in place because it's a secure, strong, fast, easy way to do it. And it's always the balance of making sure I'm providing a great value to my customers and giving them a great quality piece. And so that's kind of something I'm always trying to balance. So you can see I'm just checking for square, checking for square, checking for square. And you can kind of see me fine-tuning that as I go. And I always put little felt floor runners on the bottom to keep you from scratching up your floors. That's important. And I just put a bunch on there, flip it over, and this guy's starting to get heavy. And I really want an adjustable height workbench. That would be awesome. I'm using a little dowel rod underneath there to, be like a pyramid builder and get it moved around. And that works for me. And then I just do touch-ups as I go. Like after I get it finished, I just kind of keep looking, and whenever I see a spot that needs to touch up, I just go ahead and touch it up right then. And now I'm doing that fine-tuning on my drawers. Get it done, take it over, see how it fits. Okay, it rubbed in a little spot, so I'm just going to take a little bit more off with the hand plane and do a test fit, and we're happy now. Now, to keep this video from getting too incredibly long, I actually am not going to show you the top. We did a really cool chevron top, but that's going to be the video right after this one. So if I've earned your subscription, hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, hit the thumbs up. That way when I do release how to build that chevron tabletop next week, you'll get notified about it. So I'm installing my hardware now, and I've got jigs and things that I've made to do that, pre-drilling everything, installing it, and then we install the doors. here I'm just shimming it, making sure I get all my reveals right, and then start screwing it in. Got a little self-centering hinge bit that is amazing. If I can remember, I'll link to all these things in the comment, but I have a toolkit page on my website that has most of my affiliate links and things like that. And if you want to support what I do, using those links really helps out. This is one of those not woodworking tools that is an amazing tool that saves so much time cutting rebar to size. I don't know how I found this. Someone told me about it. I was like complaining about it. I was using a Sawzall and just going through blade after blade after blade after blade after blade. And then I bought this guy after someone told me about it. It was like $500. And I was like, this is so expensive to do one thing, but it has paid for itself over and over. Okay, so here's what I do with my rebar. Top hole is deeper, bottom hole is shallower. So it clears the bottom once you push it all the way up. It drops back down into the glue and it stays there. And here's our finished unit. I'm doing the top in a different video, so you'll have to subscribe, but I did tell you I would share with you what I charged for this piece. This piece came out to be $3,665 all said and done. And I want you to tell me in the comments if that was higher or lower than you originally guessed, because I asked you to guess at the beginning of the video. So answer or start your comment with higher or lower, and I'll get to your comments first. Let me know what you think. This was done with carbon black stain on the bottom from Old Masters, and then I did use Rubio Monocoat for the top. And that's next week's video, is making that chevron pattern top. I'm really proud of how it came out. Customer loved it, and we will see you next time. If I earned your subscription, I sure would appreciate you hitting the subscribe button, liking it, and sharing it with a friend. That helps a great deal. So we'll see you next week.